Stephen, we've just watched Tipperary go from 9 points ahead at half-time to somehow lose an opening round of the league by 2 points. Now, Jason Ford had a 21-yard sort of free at the end, deflected off the crossbar, could have stolen it. But I think it's nearly a good thing to not paper over the cracks and sort of rob a win, because it's a little dose of reality that just because the team won last year doesn't mean you can bring through new young players and all of a sudden they'll hit the ground running.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's last year is probably still in their heads somewhat. They're only getting back to 2020, the new decade, and I think if you look at the last few months, Tipp have been on holidays. Tipp have been here and there. They've been just like not really in the zone, as in gearing up for a new season, up until maybe 2-3 weeks ago when they came back from Mexico and came back from New York. So they're back in business now. First half I thought Tipp were excellent. 13-4 was a huge lead, but you did feel that Limerick would have a comeback in them, and that Limerick would, just kind of come back into the game. And would Tipp have enough fitness to respond? I don't think Tipp have a lot in the tank at the moment. I think fitness-wise, compared to last year, they're probably, that bit further behind than they were last year.
Whereas Limerick showed in the Munster Hurling League when they bet Cork out the gate in the last 15 minutes that they do have that work done.
Yeah, that's it. And I would say that Limerick are that bit further ahead than Tipp, so Tipp have a lot of catching up to do to get to that fitness level for the coming year. And you really saw that the last 15 minutes. I mean, it was all Limerick there. Tipp went quite a while without scoring in that second half, and it's early days is the only thing, but up until that point, Tipp were in the game, but Limerick just found another gear that Tipp didn't have this time of year. And just listening to the two managers afterwards, they're happy to get players on board, and John Kiley will definitely be the happier with that final flourish from him.
I think there was a very notable difference. Now, neither manager, I think, really wanted to put a finger or to sort of expose this or sort of put light on this. Limerick put a very experienced team out from the start, and their substitutes coming on, Will O'Donoghue, a starter last year, Grode Hegarty, Sean Finn, they were just making their team stronger and stronger, whereas Tipp were putting out all these inexperienced sort of players who I think sort of panicked on the ball once or twice, pick-ups off the ground, missed catches, all this kind of stuff. So from that point of view, I think Limerick were far more targeting the result than Tipperary, where Tipp just wanted to expose those players to these conditions. And not everyone stood up tonight now. They might the next night, but they didn't tonight.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Bringing on the likes of Sean Finn in the second half, you just know what Sean Finn is going to bring for Limerick. Tipp, by comparison, Dylan Quirk is new to this level, really, from Clonoulty Rossmore. Serious hurler, really great ability, but again, breaking into it. Had an illness last year, couldn't really get to inter-county level last year, but is there now. Brian O'Meara, I thought, had a good game. He's a new young gun for Tipp from Holy Cross. Did really well in the County Under-21 Championship. Really showed up well. They were just pipped for a county final by Killadangan. He's one we're going to see more of. Craig Morgan came on there, playing Fitzgibbon Cup as well at the moment with Mary I.
Yeah, 48 hours ago.
Yeah, and I mean, with a few lads there playing with UL as well, that again 48 hours ago against Maynooth. So you're looking at a lot of these players playing a lot of games in a short space of time. But definitely, Shane, that experience that Limerick had to bring on, Tipp didn't really have that, and just a little jittery. I mean, at one stage, one of the Tipp forwards threw the ball up and was waiting for another flick to get the ball into his hand. Keane Lynch just came in and read it as though it was his own hurley he had in his hand, and just took the ball and was gone 5 yards when the reaction came. So I mean, and the momentum of a second half like that, with the huge Limerick crowd that was silent for a lot of the game, and then you heard them the last 10 minutes. It was all Limerick, really.
There was sort of echoes of the Munster final last year when Limerick battered Tipperary in that second half. They physically sort of took over, and when you take over that physical battle around the middle of the field, you're winning the ball on the front foot and you're able to pick out the ball inside. I think the full back was kind of left hung out to dry because of the ball going in. Now, Gallant didn't do all that much from play, really. He scored a goal from play. It was frees after that. But the ball going in as the game wore on, you saw Will O'Donoghue come in midfield, and he had a good game of it now. I think he really took over, set up 3 goal chances, 2 of which were taken. But Tipp were just under so much pressure trying to get that ball out of there. But the point I'm coming to is that Limerick look serious All-Ireland contenders again. Even though it's only the first round of the league, you can just see intent in what they're doing.
Yeah, I think they're going to feel that last year was a big regret, really. Yeah. I mean, essentially, did they take their eye off the ball, where Kilkenny just had that bit more intensity than them that day in Croke Park, and Limerick they will have some regrets. And I actually think that this Limerick team feel they have the measure of Tipp. That's 3 wins now. If
Do you mean physically, or?
I just think that they know if they meet him on a big summer's day that they'll win it. I just think that they have that feeling about them in the way that they have a fluency to their play. They won last year's Munster final. They beat Tipp before Christmas, and now that's 3, but at the same time, look, it's all about timing your run and getting it right. Tipp got everything right last year, going down the home straight, going for the closing stages. Without a doubt, Limerick are going to be in the mix this year. They are a phenomenal team, and the quality of player that they have, and the lads they were bringing on tonight were exceptional, and like the likes of Finn is going to be back in that team. O'Donoghue's going to push hard for a place. There are a lot of newcomers there as well. Like Reedy actually showed up really well, and a lot of lads maybe just trying to make a name for themselves. Barry Nash I was very impressed with tonight. Thought he hit an awful lot of ball at wing back for them. Tipp by comparison, I think Craig Morgan is one that's very close to nailing down a place for Tipp.
Well, he was very good in the Munster Hurling League in terms of getting out in front of Podge Collins at that game in Nina. Now the ball wasn't sticking to his hurley every time. We know like he definitely has the quality, under 20 captain and all that. But I agree, he's definitely one who could push to step into that team.
Yeah, and you're going to need that, maybe 2 players probably. At least 2, I would say, to push the starting team and to really get on. I'm sure everyone on the panel expects that they will push for a place, but realistically I think Morgan is someone that could come into that team there and challenge for a place in the backs. You have a couple of the forwards there. Jake Morris is one now I would expect to push on to become a regular starter on the team, to say that's my position, I'm there every game we play. Mark Kehoe, again, another young player trying to break on, has all the All-Ireland medals underage, and he just really needs to find that gear, and the confidence that you'll get from playing tonight is important. One really skillful player there is Brian O'Meara, and I thought he equipped himself very well tonight, new to that scene, new to that scenario, but again, going down the home straight, Limerick had experience all over the field. They had quality coming on, they had energy about them, they had drive. Tipp were just fading, they didn't have that bit of fitness built up the last few weeks, and Tipp are just maybe that little bit slow burning this year, so I don't really think we'll see what it's all about until the summer, but both those teams are definitely going to be in the mix.
I was interested to see Alan Flynn again, much like he was last year, doing the man marking role. So he was man marking Keane Lynch for a lot of the game. I remember him doing it to Tony Kelly during the league last year as well. So definitely that role is kind of man marked for him, or earmarked for him, I should say. The other side with Limerick, David Dempsey is a player that I would have seen a lot with Napirshick over the last few years. Thought he might have gotten a bit more of a go. Now he had a wide or 2, but he was impressive with 3 points from play. Darragh O'Donovan, new role at wing forward and midfielder, somewhat interchangeable anyway. Barry Nash, like you're saying, another guy who looks really, really good in the half back line. Not to mention Declan Hannon of Tipperary blood. He can come into the team as well. Yeah, I like these 2 teams could be Munster final, could be All Ireland final. We could see a lot more of these 2 teams playing each other.
You're looking at the 2 of them.
I went on a soliloquy and you've waited for the right time to get a bit of the cost.
2 of them, I would say. Wexford. Look, Waterford are new this year.
Yeah.
Cork are new. So, bit of change there in both those. But, look, both of them are going to be in the mix. Kilkenny as usual.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shane.
Sure, all right. Sure, we'll probably leave it there.
No, grind now again.
Jeez, you have an old...
You can edit out that.
No, I won't. You have an old sucky sweet there.
I have the suitors here.
Yeah, sweets for one, I'd say.
Want one?
Sure, I'll take one. Yeah, it'll keep me going on a cold night. Yeah, I just think, Limerick are probably closer to that starting summer team there, and I think you could get a little bit dispirited as a Tipperary fan if you wanted conceding 2-6 of 2-8 at the start of that second half to go from an clear winning position to sort of faltering, but it's not the end of the day for sure.
No, it's only the start of the season. Look, Cork next week. This game is forgotten. I mean, last year Tipp were losing these league games by a pint, by 2 pints. Dublin pipped them, Everyone starts getting jittery in Tipp if we're not winning every match. And I think you just have to trust the management and trust the backroom team to get the run right. So again, it's all about the summer. And this year's league, it just doesn't feel that it's going to have the intensity the way it's set up this year. Last year it was kind of cutthroat. It was like we have to win every game. This year it just doesn't seem to have that bite as much, I think, if you look at the way it's divided up.
You'd nearly even be happy to finish like 4th in it. Don't get relegated. Well, obviously Tipp aren't going to get relegated here. I mean, that would be a massive shock. But getting to a league final, does it guarantee anything? You'd nearly want your players to have to play a game less so that you can actually just rest up before the club month and then get going again for the championship. So it's kind of unusual in a situation. You actually don't want to get that far in the league.
Yeah, it's a funny situation. I think there's a lot of kind of physical work that needs to be done, and that's going to have to be done during the league now, really, for Tipperary in particular, that they haven't had the luxury of doing it over the winter like some teams, but I'm sure they're happy they didn't because they won the All-Ireland. But that work will have to be done. So I think you could see a few performances where you have a team doing really well one week, losing the next week because they're maybe in a different cycle of physical training to be right for the summer. And again, like Limerick were very strong tonight. Limerick really wanted that win tonight, and I think it'll be very satisfying for them to leave Thurles with the points in the bag and just that thing that's saying we're on top of Tipp at the moment.
Thanks very much, Stephen, and thanks for the lozenge.
Good stuff.
Thanks for watching Our Game. Don't forget to like and share the videos, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe.